So when I got that role, I was the only female in the institution. I guess you may not be able to relate, but it was real. Right. So I was the only female in that organization, and I didn't know or I didn't notice because maybe I just came from my interview, did the onboarding. I was just focused on my tiny little office that I was excited about, and all. But then as time went by, I could clearly see that it's real that I was the only female in this tech company. During my time at Microsoft, which was like 2023 and extended more intensively in 2024, first of all, as a student ambassador with Microsoft, I was responsible for supporting other students leveraging technology, getting access to things like Microsoft Azure and the likes. It became more intense in 2024 when I had the experience to work alongside the team at the garage and particularly with Microsoft partners as well. So I was attached to the team that was working on hackathon, and for 2024 the focus was on health. And in that moment, I saw how education is an enabler of innovation through technology. And so, as an African Leadership University student, we always talk about this thing called mission. So I think it was the very first time that I had like an holistic moment to see how education plays a key role, and then with technology, and then you're having the intersection of this thing create something that you're a part of that is actually very bigger than you. So it taught me that there are different people with diverse background. It also taught me that you have to be a continuous learner, because I don't know how to overemphasize this. We talk about giving yourself to teaching, but I also say you need to be a continuous learner, because that was like the first time AI was coming to Africa very actively, and then I did not even know so much about it. So it was during like the onboarding and orientation session I got to learn more about AI and then the possible impact in education. And like 1 week away from that, I had gotten an invitation by Google Women Developers in Nairobi to speak about intersection of AI and education. So imagine how it would have felt if I was never a part of that meeting. So yeah. Shenovates is a very personal experience. It's a very personal story. I think just the other day I was talking to some friends who were at my house. I was sharing the fact that when I started my tech journey, I had the opportunity to work with a tech firm in Calabar, which is also the founding partners of Shenovates 525 system. So when I got that role, I was the only female in the institution. I guess you may not be able to relate, but it was real. Right. So I was the only female in that organization, and I didn't know or I didn't notice because maybe I just came from my interview, did the onboarding. I was just focused on my tiny little office that I was excited about, and all. But then as time went by, I could clearly see that it's real that I was the only female in this tech company. And it was a ratio of the only girl. I would have said 1:15, like normal mathematical expression, but I was the only girl in the entire building, and every other person was male. And so that planted a seed in my heart that I did not know was planted at the time. But as we moved on, I started making contribution and saw how the contribution I made was valuable. And then I thought about it that what if other women had the opportunity to make meaningful contribution? Maybe that was going to help in closing the gender gap in technology and advancing more interest in women in the tech industry. And so I went back and I was thinking a lot about things. And one day, my boss and I had the conversation, and I still remember the two questions he asked me. He did ask if, what are those two things? Right. No, the first question was, would I apologize to someone even if I'm not at fault? I was like, yeah, I love peace. Seriously, I don't like any complicated issues in life, so I love peace. And so I was like, yeah, I can apologize. And then the next question was, what's that one thing that someone will say to me that will get me really pissed? And I told him that is a situation where someone tells me that a woman cannot do anything she puts her mind to. Now, let me give you a bit of context. I grew up in Calabar, a city where it felt like there was a systematic experience. You were born, you grow, you get to primary school, secondary school, you either get married or go to the university and still get married. So there was a system where women were in the quote and unquote dependent on a male benevolent system. And I came from a background where these things were like different. You were thought to pursue your dreams, you're even thought to be able to dream. And so I looked at it from, now let's not teach this girl the systematic approach. Women should not just be mirrored down to this particular aspect of life. So that moment I took that experience and then I'm like, okay, what if we make women understand that, okay, this is technology, right? And this is what you can contribute to technology. And so we went back and just decided to start doing research as we asked people different experiences they've had in trying to venture into the STEM ecosystem and the tech ecosystem in general, and then particularly in Calabar. So while we were at that, some of the things we noticed was that some of these people, no one has ever told them about technology. And some of the other people, technology was too expensive for them. And then there was the third category of people who believed in the fact that it was just meant for men. So you see that there were already existing ideas that you needed to be able to break down and barriers that you needed to work through for those people to get the holistic experience of what tech was. And so that was how Shenovates was born. On the 14th of August 2021, we had our very first orientation session called She Emerges. So She Emerges has spanned into other programs. So particularly for that, we had to look for young people because another thing I noticed was that age differences are a limiting factor, especially with young people. Young people want to be able to see their peers thrive, and it brings the message home easily that this is something I can actually thrive in. And so when we had the first session, we talked about introduction into the STEM ecosystem. We also talked about developing and finding your digital footprint. Then we talked about different causes, different experiences people have had. So I think that moment it became clearer that this is not just a problem that I faced, but this is a problem that other people in the same community as me was faced with. And it's a problem that is worth solving, most importantly. And so while I went back, into the office, one of the goals I had was that I was not going to be the only female in that company. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I was particular that it was going to happen. So when I went back home in 2024 during the festive period, and I went back to the office, and we were having like the end of year party, and I was asked, what am I most proud of? I mean, there are a lot of things people would have expected me to say because, I mean, it's been a good period of growing, self-development and all. But when I looked around and I saw other girls in that same company where I was the only girl before, and some of them, I did the interview for them to join the company, you could see my heart leap for joy. So I think, yeah, that's my why. Seeing that there's more inclusivity, there's more participation, that women can actually actively contribute and even take up a leadership role in this STEM and tech ecosystem. That's the why. Okay, so one impact story that has stuck with me through the years was something that I experienced in 2024. So I had recently moved to Nairobi, Kenya, for internship. I was like at the time a double intern and I was interning internationally and then doing school. So you can imagine how that was. But then I met a girl called Praise Asehe Ataja. I've forgotten her other two names because why do you have five names? But yeah, so when I met Praise, I saw this girl to be someone who was very brilliant, but then she was unable to always communicate this brilliance. And I was like, no, this cannot be possible. But while trying to learn about this person, because now you can't just walk into people left and start telling them what to do. It's very disrespectful. In case you do it, stop. So I had to look back and I'm like, okay, I want to get to know you intentionally because in having interactions with you, I see you to be someone who is very brilliant, but you're not even aware of how much brilliance that your presence elude and all that. And so we started talking, and then I learned about the area of concerns that she's had and some other things she was working on. And so in that moment, I was starting with Microsoft. I think I was starting like a previous week and stuff. And so after being attached to the Futurize hackathon program, I told that, you know what, you must come and do this program because this is exactly for people like you. And so that was how her journey into Shenovates started. And then she became a part of the volunteer cohort from 2024. She's currently the Rwanda team lead. But yeah, back to her story. So, on the course of working with her, she decided to solve one of the world's pressing issues, which is like cardiovascular diseases with AI powered technology. So her project was a lot more personal to me because this was me. I had done Microsoft and I was done, but then this was someone who was creating something that was even way more bigger than me. And I had the privilege to be able to support it from inception to where it is right now. And so in that moment, I did not just see us as helping a girl develop skill because one first key thing I saw was the lack of confidence. And I keep saying it that regardless of how smart, brilliant, or whatever you are, confidence is a key skill. So the moment the young people do not have it, they are unable to express the things that go on in their mind. And so that was the strategy we used. We had to build on confidence and seeing her being able to discuss the idea. And then she made, I think she was like the part of the finalists for the competition that year. And her project was also spotlighted sometime this year in celebration of Women Month. And to look back at it this month, I don't know when this video is going to go out, but last week, technically last month, I saw her give the it's not the graduate speech, but the speech that welcomed the graduation keynote speaker at the African Leadership University. And I was so proud because this is someone who would not hold a mere conversation with you. So this is like 1 year of actively working and everything. And I think that's one journey that has stuck with me outside of the very many ones all the way back in Calabar. Being a Diana Award recipient and a Falling Walls 2024 Engage winner, I'm very grateful to God because I think that my life is a spiritual journey and I'm very certain that I would not have gone this far all by myself if not for the wisdom and the favor of God. So I think I'm very, very grateful and honored to be that one person that God tried to express himself through. And then if I look at it professionally, I would say that it still revolves around myself as a person and the mission that I have decided to dedicate my life towards working on. So when you look at the Princess Diana Award, it was awarded to me because of humanitarian services and social action that I had done with Shenovates. And just so it's out there, that's like the highest award you can get as a humanitarian in the world. It's the highest. So yeah, So I think when I look at it, I think it's a call to do more. It's a call to do more because prior to these things, the work that we were doing, and it's just that credibility that it provides us more. And it's there's this saying, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I think that I've been given much, and so much more is expected. So that's what I feel. And then in terms of winning the falling walls size engage category, the truth is I think that particular experience is a testimony of resilience, because that was my third application. Yeah, that was my third application. And so in my first application, I just did it very, I was lazy about it because it felt like a small girl in the city of Calabar. What do you want to go and do in Berlin? Right. So that was what it looked like for me. And then the second time I did apply, I put my heart in the application. So when I was rejected, my heart was a bit broken. So I also learned from that experience that my application reads in my ACs and stuff were good, but then the video I did was not good. So I had to go back to look at other people's videos and stuff like that. So after that experience, I knew that this was a killer shot. So even when I was announced as finalist, I said I'm not going to post this thing until the day I win. So I waited that long. Something else I would love to highlight about it. It was about problem solving. It's not just about winning an award. So this happened when I was also in Nairobi. I guess you see, Kenya loves me so much. So it happened when I was in Nairobi that there was a flooding, and I was quite upset when I saw the fact that there is flood in the country. People are suffering, people are being affected by it, and then they were giving canoes, boats. So I don't know how that's supposed to overcome the flood, but it is what it is. I know that. And then I started asking myself questions like, this could have possibly been Nigeria. This could have possibly been my home, because I'm from Cross River, and it's called Cross River because it's surrounded by a lot of water. So this could have possibly been my home and stuff. And in that moment, I was like, what can I do? Because I'm more of a solution oriented person than problem focused. You know, I see the problem, but the problem would always exist without a solution to solve it. So I had to think about it. This is something that has occurred before. So there's a possibility that it's going to occur again. And so then there should be data for this thing somewhere. So I started asking questions about data, and then I reached out to the LX team and I started asking questions, started talking and putting things together. And then I had to recall that I had passed through the National Institute of Statistics Rwanda hackathon. Again, in that experience, I was the only girl out of 30 young men in this country of Rwanda. Like, this was a nationwide competition. If you recall my other story, it was 1 to 15 in a small city. Now, this is an entire country, is 1 to 30. So the statistics is even larger and clearer. So I remember remembering how we were cleaning data sets, clearing the sheets, and being able to filter the data and try to extract information from that data. So sitting back with two other young girls particularly and trying to solve this problem. So where has this occurred before? How long did it take? At what period of the year? Are there other things that contributed to it? Drainage and all of those things. So we gathered those information, and then we're able to provide access to this information on a climate centric website where we are just advocating for things that could be done to mitigate the effect of the flooding, because then the flooding was already happening, so there's no possibility that would have stopped it. It was happening, but then how do we help people recover and how can it be prevented? So it was just that experience of seeing what technology can do, and how impactful it can be in climate change. I'm not a climate expert. Like, I don't know anything about it that much, but I saw a problem and I really wanted to be able to contribute towards solving that problem. Yeah. interesting. So I think one of the way I describe myself is as a resilient. Okay, no, I go this way. I'm a beautiful black resilient woman. And when I say resilience, people usually bring the whole strong woman idea. No, I don't glorify suffering. I believe everyone should have access to ease, and people that are able to provide ease to others should. But we live in a world where challenges are constant, and so we also need to be consistent in overcoming those challenges. Permits me to say that I have become so much of a solution oriented person that I don't think too much about challenges because I know it's going to come. But then I always have this mindset of if I've been able to overcome this oneself, it's a workover. I'm going to like overcome that. I think being in Calabar is where this journey all started. And so I think one of the first hubs we need to have on the continent has to be in Calabar, where people can work in, have access, and gain knowledge, and have a co-creative space where they can brainstorm, share ideas, and build stuff together. For myself as a person, I think I'm gravitating a lot towards digital education and trying to maximize the impact in terms of leveraging technology for education, because now the conversation on almost every person's lips is AI. But how many people are thinking about AI and the possible cause of redundancy in terms of how do young children grow? We are all in formative ages. These children are exposed to devices. What's the rate of neuroplasticity? Is it even still in existence? How often do you teach your brain new things? How often do you learn, those sort of things? Because you can't expect a kid who is not learning in their formative age to be able to tackle complex issues when they grow. And whilst AI is here to stay, those are some of the things that may affect children in the near future. So how do we protect children from this sort of thing is something I'm going to love to look forward to contributing to in the future. But again, it's a thing to embrace the use of AI because it's something that has come to stay and make life a lot more easy and efficient for us all. So I think that what I would love to see is co-creation, and this is something that we had tried to implement somewhere last year, where we're spotlighting women for International Women Day, but then we didn't want to do it as us going to scout for these people, so we put out like a call, and then there were like co-creators which are also focal point in different countries. So now as a focal point, you're responsible for like recognizing other women in your community. So I think that sort of creates it creates that ownership in people's mind. So it's collaboration, but on a different level, because it's not just you collaborating with us, it's you doing what you want to do. So you have that creative expression, creative freedom. So in 5 years, I would love to see more of that, where girls all over the continent particularly can take ownership of advancing technology in the different community. And then I think I would want us to also have different hubs in Nigeria first of all. And I think something else that would gladden my heart more is to see that most of our girls who have been a part of our program return to be peer mentor, because then they've also gone on their own to see what problem we are solving, had their individual experience, and will want to contribute. So I think that our expansion is interdependent. Yeah, and so I think if that vision is established in the heart of a lot of people, the expansion and every other goal would be very much more feasible to actualize. So yeah. Hi. My name is Joy Offere. I am Nigerian and I'm from the northern part of Cross River State, Ogoja. I have to be putting this on the map because I don't think people even know where it is. I grew up in Calabar, which has been a community that has shaped my life over the years. I'm on a mission to bridge the gender gap in technology and advance access to quality education on the continent through my education at the African Leadership University, where I am a final year software engineering student, majoring in full stack web development, and the work I do at Shenovates. So yeah, I'm excited to be on this episode of Control Her. I feel like there should be something on my keyboard.